Hi guys, this is the first in a series of videos I'm doing on great keyboard solos in pop songs. And this one is at the end of Rosanna by Toto. Let's see what we can learn from this. Pop music is full of blues language, and it doesn't get much better than David Paich's piano solo at the end of Rosanna. Now, the single version fades out before this solo section, so look for the album version to hear it. We can divide the solo into two parts. First, the funky singles and doubles section. This lasts for 3 bars and is followed by the second part, which is the 2 octave descent section, which also runs for 3 bars. So that's only 6 bars total, but boy, does he pack a lot of dopeness into those 6 bars. At the end of the solo, he transitions into a chord vamp for the guitar solo. It's a really cool part, so I want to show you that as well. I call this the Dorian Vamp section. So, let's dive into the first 3-bar section. I called it funky singles and doubles because it consists of single notes and double stops, played with a funky rhythm and some interesting call and response action between left and right hands. Speaking of funky, note that the song is played with a 16th note shuffle feel. Here are the first 2 bars. Let's talk about the right hand part first. To begin, he uses one of the most common melodic components of blues language, which is 5-6-8. Notice the difference between that and the equally common 5-7-8. Next, we have this 4-note motif. It starts with the minor third resolving to the major third, another one of the most defining elements of blues language, followed by 1 and flat 7. There's also a D that he's playing above 3 of the 4 notes in this little motif. I think of this as an inverted pedal, and it's super common in blues piano playing. A pedal tone, or pedal for short, is a sustained or repeated note, most commonly in the bass, over which other notes or chords change. But you can also put the static note at the top and then change notes below that. This technique is all over blues and rock and roll piano. Most often the pedal tone at the top is the root, but the 5th is also common. Next, he repeats that little 4-note motif, but rhythmically displaced. Instead of starting on a strong beat, the 3, the repeat starts on the end of 4, a weak beat. So we're getting the same notes, but they feel different because they relate differently to the underlying pulse. He then takes the last 2 notes of the motif he just played and repeats them a couple of times with a syncopated rhythm. Mind you, all this is improvised. He didn't sit there with a spreadsheet and a calculator to figure this out ahead of time. It's just a spontaneous result of world-class musicianship. While all this is going on in the right hand, the left hand pedals the root G with a rhythm reminiscent of the basic groove of the song. Most of the notes fall in between the right hand notes, creating a call and response pattern between the 2 hands. In bar 3 of his solo, he starts out with a figure that embellishes the 3rd. These little melodic motifs that surround the major 3rd, like sharks circling an unlucky surfer, are ubiquitous in blues. And once again, an upper pedal note D is added on 3 of the notes. Neighbor tones surrounding a target note by step from above and below is a very common melodic device, and not just in blues or jazz. Here's my homie Mozart using it. After this, the melody descends from the minor third to the root G. This flat 3-2-1 motif is another one of those blues cliches that everyone uses. And we also get the 5th as an upper pedal tone again. Then he finishes off with a move to the E below the root twice. We also get that D at the top yet again. Now check this out. Other than that one C, the whole bar contains the following notes. What does that look like? That's right, an E blues scale. This is a blues secret that you don't hear about that often. There's actually two different blues scales that you can use in any blues or blues-like situation. The tonic blues scale that everybody uses, in this case the G blues scale. But equally useful is the one starting on the 6th degree of the scale, in this case E. And once again, the left hand continues the syncopated pedal on the root G. What follows is one bar of pure blues piano dopeness, the climax of the solo. It's so good, he plays it 3 times in a row. Here it is at a slower tempo. I called this the 2-octave descent because, well, it's a descending lick that spans approximately 2 octaves. The best way to approach this is to break it down into hand positions, which is a great way to approach a lot of blues piano language. The first position contains these 4 notes, from the 6th at the bottom to the 5th at the top. That's an E minor 7 fret 5 chord. Listen to how rich and crunchy that sounds against the underlying G7 chord. He plays E, B flat and D as a chord on beat 1, and then arpeggiates the whole 4-note chord downwards really fast. The rest of this 1-bar lick contains notes of the G blues scale only. The second hand position stretches from the root to the flat 7, and also contains the other 4 notes of the G blues scale. Here's how he works with this second hand position. First he transitions down to the lower octave like this. Next he plays another 3-note chord that is the same shape as the one at the beginning of the bar. Followed by another quick rolling arpeggiation of a 1-5 flat 7 shape. After that he just plays straight down the G blues scale, except he adds the F to the D flat again to create the same double stop as earlier. And again, he plays that whole lick 3 times in a row, pretty much the same way. There's also a left-hand part that contains the typical 5-6 flat 7 movement that we know from many left-hand blues piano patterns. Here's what the left hand plays in the first bar of the octave descent. Here's what that sounds like together with the right hand. Here's what the left hand plays in the second bar. And again, if we add the right hand, it sounds like this. And on the last time, here's the left hand. And here are both hands. So now, all that's left to talk about is the vamp section. After the piano solo, it goes into a guitar solo. This is accompanied by a Dorian piano vamp that is then also doubled on Hammond organ and by the horn section. It gets really epic. Here's the vamp. This uses a technique called harmonic planing. Planing just means that you take a chord shape and move it up or down a scale or mode. It could be as simple as a 2-note interval, or as complex as a 6-note chord. Planing is often used to create comping patterns for 1-chord songs or sections. In this case, they take a second inversion triad shape from the G Dorian mode and move it up and back down a couple of steps using only notes from G Dorian. Add a syncopated rhythm, call and response between left and right hands, and a grace note, and you got yourself a badass riff. He plays the riff down here first, and then moves it up an octave for extra intensity. And that's it for today. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.